Welcome and thank you for stopping by. My name's Leah, and in this video I'll show you how I made some wall hangings and signs as part of the open collab. This is being hosted by the lovely ladies pictured here, and I'll tell you more about it in a few minutes. For this DIY, I'm starting out with 3 of the wooden arrow signs from Dollar Tree and a piece of this eucalyptus print paper that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. I got the paper when the Paper Studio was on sale for half off, so it was about 35 cents. And I'm going to be using Mod Podge to attach some paper just to the non-pointy part of the arrows. I really don't know what to call that. The straight part that's in between the pointy part and the back part. Anywho, I'm using a small amount of Mod Podge and I spread it out over the arrow, stuck down that paper, and I'm going to do that on all 3 of these signs that are all different from each other. I think that's only 3 designs that they have at Dollar Tree. If they have a 4th, I don't know about it. Anyway, I'm just doing the same thing with all 3 of these signs, no matter the size or shape. Putting down a little bit of Mod Podge and putting down a piece of the paper that I've cut. Once they were thoroughly dry, I came in and painted the points. No, I'm going to sand the edges first. Oh dear. After I sand the edges and get that extra paper off, then I'm going to paint with the color Celery from Waverly chalk paint. And I'm going to do the pointy parts on all 3 and the back part that's on the 1 arrow. And I'm painting some more till I get all those points covered with the celery chalk paint. And then I'm going to use the moss color Waverly chalk paint to outline the arrows. I'm going to go all the way around all the edges. I started out just to do it on the areas where I had painted here to kind of make it look kind of distressed. Just put another color in there so it's not so drab. Then I decided to just go around the whole thing, all the way around the outside edges. And that was that. Now, to attach all 3 of these, so I can hang them on the wall as a grouping, as one piece, you might say. I lined them up on my craft mat. Tried to figure out what was the best way of putting them. I'm going to the arrow in the middle pointing a different direction from the one on the top and bottom. So I'm taking some brown burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree that I picked up last fall. I'm going to do 2 strips on this, side by side. And I thought I really had it down to a T on how this was all going to go down. Well, I was using the last little bit of this ribbon and it wanted to curl up like it's been curled in its little roll this whole time. So it gave me a little bit of trouble, but I do get through it. There I was trying to set something heavy on top of it and it wasn't working. Anyway, I just went along with it. I actually contemplated pulling that ribbon off and using some off of the new roll, but as you're going to see, I decided to just let it be. I needed a hanger on the back, so I took a piece of that jute twine that I had taken off the signs, cut one of the tags in half, and just put hot glue over the ends of the twine and the piece of cardstock on top of that, and now it's done. For this next DIY, I'm using a Happy Harvest mason jar sign that I picked up at Dollar Tree last year. And I'm going to be working on the back because I do actually like the red truck and barn picture that's on the front. Anyway, I'm going to be using some more Hobby Lobby scrapbook paper in a cotton bowl motif, which I thought went along with this country vibe very well. And like before, I'm using a small amount of Mod Podge on the back of the sign. I'm going to make sure I get it around all those edges very well. And without cutting the paper, I'm just going to lay it down on top of the jar. And I'm leaving the lid open. I'm going to do something else with that. What I'm going to do is just line this up, make sure I've got it straight down the side, straight across the top where I want it to go up. And then I'm going to leave that to dry. And then I'll take a emery board or nail file. You can use a sanding block, piece of sandpaper, whatever you got. And I sawed off that little corner. Then I used my scissors and cut right up against the sign the rest of that excess paper. And I did go around with the emery board on those areas as well. Now if you do this, be sure that you're sanding downward on the paper, and if you're on the back side of it, sand away from yourself so you don't tear up the paper. Now for that lid, I'm going to cover it with some buffalo check wired ribbon. Yeah, it's wired. I had to think about that for a minute. I got this at Dollar Tree, I want to say last year at fall. I love the buffalo check black and white. Anyway, I'm wrapping around a piece around to the front side, which is now the back side, and gluing it down. And I had to kind of taper it and pull it in where the lid part kind of curves there. I don't know a better way of saying that. It just, I'm fitting it to the lid. That's what I should say. I didn't like how it was looking here, so I came in with some more check in a much smaller ribbon and tied a little bow there. And I'm also going to be putting some greenery on the top side, right where that bow is. But first I'm going to create a Cricut decal. Oh, here I'm showing you that I didn't do dovetailing on the ribbon because my scissors are not sharp enough for that right now. So I just let it kind of fray. And then I'm going to add a decal. There, I was checking out some lamb's ear to see how that looked. And I got this vinyl out, cut it on my Cricut. It looked more of a forest green, but when I got it under the ring light, it's looking really Kelly green or Christmas green to me. So I'm going to have to try to do something about that. And y'all don't need to see me putting this decal down. You know all about how to do that. So let me tell you about this collab that I'm in. This is being hosted by Emily of Farm Charm Chic, Missi of Crafty Cove DIY, and Amanda of 6 Kids and a Glue Gun. And their special spotlight guest this month is my dearest friend, Becky from Simply Becky DIY. Now, there's going to be some people doing seasonal wall decor, some people that'll be doing every day, so you don't want to miss out on any of them. You may just find inspiration for your own home. So, I will leave that link to the playlist in the descriptions below so you can check out all the videos in here. And also I'll be leaving links to the hosts and guest host channel so you can check them out as well. So on to the next part. I'm going to use my Poscom paint markers. They have saved me once before, not twice before, when I put down vinyl and wasn't real happy with it. It paints out just fine, dries pretty good. Now I have to say it will come off if it's scratched or bumped, but for the most part it works. I won't have to cut a whole nother decal, plus messing up my paper. I'd have to have more of that too. I tried a few colors on some of the leftover vinyl from my decal, and I decided to go with the aquamarine color. Ooh, why can't I say that? Aquamarine. Anyway, I'm going to paint over that and then I'll be back. Doesn't that look so much better? Well, it does to me anyway. I like it so much better. There are some lines in the paintwork that you'll see right here but I don't mind that one bit. I'm not mad about it. And I left some of the green as an outline on purpose on that. Now what I'm going to do is the final touches, which is add a little embellishment. I'm going to add a cotton bowl and a few pieces of eucalyptus, some red eucalyptus, burgundy I probably should say, maroon maybe. And then I'm going to add some green eucalyptus to the other side, some longer branches of that. And now we are done with this country as cornbread and sweet tea sign. For this sign DIY, I'll be using 22 of the large craft sticks from Walmart, and I'm gluing them down on this white piece of cardboard that I got out of a package of water that we had bought at Walmart. And I'm just using the Aleene's Tacky Glue from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue on that first craft stick and use some little Dollar Tree clamps to hold it in place while I glue on the others. That way I have a good anchor, I know it's nice and straight, and then I'll just come up, butt the next one up against that, the next one against the second one, so on and so forth until I have all 22 on this piece of cardboard. Once I had given it enough time to completely dry, I used some white apple barrel acrylic paint and just dabbing a little bit on my paintbrush. I'm going to kind of lightly stroke over that. I guess it's dry brushing. That's what I was grasping for. I'm dry brushing the paint sticks to look like boards. Then I'm going to take some celery Waverly chalk paint and do the same thing. And I may go heavier in some spots than others, but it doesn't matter. I'm going for a chippy look. Now for the frame, I'm going to be using some of these plant stakes that I picked up at Dollar General. They were $1 each. They're like a 3/4 inch square and they're 3 feet long. I needed to cut the 2 of them at 27 inches to be the length of my sign. And then what I had left over I put at the ends, and it worked out so well that I only had to cut off a little bit of one side of the craft sticks. To assemble the frame, I'm going to use some wood glue, and I'm putting some on each end of the shorter piece of wood that's going in between the long slats. And I'm also going to put down just a dot of hot glue that's going to hold it in place until the wood glue has time to set up well. And I do that on both ends, making sure I use my square, and I've got a nice square frame. Or a rectangle, that is. Now, I didn't film myself doing this, but I went all the way around the edges of the frame with wood glue. And then I turned my sign upside down onto the frame. And there it is, nice and dry and ready to go on to the next step. I made a long decal with my Cricut. I think this measured 6 high and 23.5 wide, so it's a pretty big sign. I just eyeballed where to put it. I was trying to make sure that the words across the bottom were straight. And yeah, I just stuck it down to the sign, peeled back the transfer tape. Instead of painting the frame, I'm going to use the Folk Art Antique Wax. And I'm not doing the baby wipe method. I'm just using a regular brush. I'm brushing it on, and however it lands is what I'll stick with. Well, if it's too heavy in spots, I do go over and smooth that down a little bit more. I also added some of that antique wax on the sign itself. I wanted the decal on first, or the vinyl wouldn't have stuck over the antique wax. I almost forgot to add a hanger. I just took a piece of twine and put some glue on. I actually even measured where the center of my sign was. And I'm going to glue that twine on the 2 marks that I've made there. And then I'll cover it with a popsicle stick. And there's my sign. I feel like I saved the best for last. Well, I know it's the last one that I finished, but I love this. The reason why I want a general store sign is so I can use my vintage labeled cans. That's just a few. I've got a set of 14 or 16. I don't remember now. If you want me to leave you a link to where I bought those, let me know in the comments. And that's the end of this DIY video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please click the like button so I'll know that you liked it. And if you're not already subscribed, I would love to have you slap that subscribe button on your way out. Remember to watch the playlist to see what everyone else has come up with, and check out our host channels. Until next time, bye-bye.